Hey, this is Marcus Hall with Breakthrough Basketball. Today we're working on 5 moves to get you downhill past your defender in transition to score or make plays for your teammates. Let's get after it.
Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you're on YouTube, click the alert notification.
Okay, the situation that we're envisioning here is we have the basketball, we're approaching a defense that is in transition or in semi-transition, not set up yet, there's bodies in motion, there's open lanes and open areas that we're gonna try to exploit to make plays for ourselves or for our teammates. The 2 shoes right here are going to be our accountability pieces. They're not only gonna help with my timing as I approach the defender, but also if I envision these at a defender's stance, I can work on the details of my movement or my maneuver to make the most of it to attack them when they're most vulnerable. The first move we're gonna go with is a turn dribble jab. So this move is relatively simple, but the details are important. The first thing is the setup. So I'm gonna turn the ball to my inside frame. My hand's gonna stay on the top of the ball. I'm gonna use it to maneuver the ball inside my body and then outside my body. I don't need to turn it over to get it there. I'm just going to keep my hand on top of the ball, get it to my belt buckle, and then push it out. That is going to be aided with a jab. When I dribble, I'm going to jab. Just like a jab off of a pivot, I'm going to live dribble, turn, push, and then attack that defender's top foot. As I approach this mesh point, I don't want to get too deep. I'm not trying to make this move happen where their arms are and I could get picked. Remember, I'm the one going downhill. They're trying to settle in and stay in front of me. On the turn dribble jab, it's really important to sell that torso fake with that big jab step, and then once you're against that angle of their hip, push the ball out at a straight line of the rim so you can make the most of it and get downhill. Always want to work both sides. I can vary my finishes. Okay, the next downhill move in transition is the push cross. This can be used off the same setup in an isolation situation or potentially as a maneuver off of a drag screen, or if I can use the whole game in my eyes to manipulate the situation, I can really counter against the entire flow of the defense. So there's a lot of different types of crossovers. You know, you can let the ball go in the middle of your frame. On this one, on this push cross, we're gonna try to keep our hand in contact with the ball all the way across our body. We're gonna use a shoulder turn and a torso twist to aid that so we don't need to carry it. As I approach this mesh point, I'm gonna again show center line, vision, and I'm gonna drop my feet wide. When I drop my feet wide, the defender's settling, and now from there, I'm gonna throw the ball all the way to the baseline. My top foot is gonna chase the ball down. Again, not just being fast, more about being abrupt. Set it up and throw it, and I'm trying to get that line all the way to the rim. Envision yourself in the game. Come set it, come set it. On the push cross, it's important to have counters. I'm going to throw that ball, trying to get that defender to run with me. If I can get the angle and lay it up, I'm going to do so. If that defender runs to cut me off, I'm always going to have some counters. They run to meet me, and I'm going hard against that line. Again, always working both ways. one maneuver off of a push cross that can really aid you again. If I am effective with a push cross and I can really get that defender running, I got the layup, or I can throw the brakes on. Push cross. Trying to make sharp angles and use a hard push cross to help me aid in my change of direction. Again, shoulder, foot follows the ball as I push with my hand all the way through the push cross. Okay, the next option on the downhill transition is going to be a heavy step through. So when you go between the legs to change direction, oftentimes you split your feet to get your change of direction. On this one, we're actually going to show a hard torso drive downhill, and then off that heavy step, when we load up, then we're going to exchange through. Again, the goal of the defender in this situation is don't let them just pull up and shoot. Other than that, stay in front. So I'm going to show big movements with my torso side to side to try to get them to bite, and then work on my transition through to get the angle against their hip, and again, pushing it out, getting to the rim or to the lane to make a play for my teammate. Timing is really important here. Again, I'm always envisioning that defender's frame. Bring it up. Changing my approach speed, but still being under my terms. The details are really important here. We don't want to throw little punches. We're punching, counter punching on this move. My first punch is this. Torso goes forward, everything goes forward. Transition through. So as I'm approaching that defender, the defender's goal is to make sure that the offensive player can't just pull up and shoot. Beyond that, it's stay in front, right? So I'm going to show a hard angled step with this dribble. Therefore, shifting my torso to this side, I'm going to let my foot load, and then I'm going to step again as I transition through, past their hip, pushing the ball out to the rack. Avoid splitting, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in this situation, again, I'm trying to shift their torso a certain way with that hard 1-2, and then transition through. Okay, next move is the cross jab. Cross jab is moved by a ton of elite players these days. It is a relatively simple move, highly effective. The details are really important. So as I'm approaching the defender and I'm going into this cross jab action, I'm gonna switch hands like a crossover. But unlike a normal crossover where my body moves with the ball, my body and my upper body is gonna pretty much stay motionless as that ball switches across my frame. Switches across my frame. Then once I let go of the ball, I'm gonna have an empty hand. Ball goes across my body. I'm gonna punch my shoulder and that side leg and foot towards that empty hand. So I switch hands and then punch. You notice this shifts my torso over this foot, weight over this foot to load, and then I'm gonna push the ball out past their frame. Timing is important, approach is important, and once I hit that move, I'm gonna throw the ball at a hard angle right to the rack. Again, switch it, no upper body motion on that cross. Punch once it goes across your body. Again, working both ways, utilizing counters. Always gain speed though. You know, use your imagination when you're out here playing. I'm not making a move on some shoes. I'm trying to get by this defender that's picking me up. Go gain speed. That way you can learn to calculate and improve from that point versus trying to figure out how to do it at half speed and getting better at half speed. So I'm going to use my imagination. This is the defender in front of me. I'm going to approach it, throw it, punch it. Again, really important to get that jab step, just like a good jab off the pivot, outside that defender's foot so that he has to shift with me. When they shift, I can then initiate my blow by. One of the key points about these types of moves in downhill are if you hit them with it and they are now in a recovery position, they have to overextend themselves, run to that next point. Now you can utilize that to counter against them. So as you get better at the initial move, work on your counters, wraps, spins, things that get you at a different angle quickly. Again, I don't need to be fast here, I want to be abrupt. So this next move is going to be set off our ability to shoot the ball. When we're bringing the ball up the court, we're seeing the floor. If the player that's supposed to be guarding you isn't picking you up or is picking you up really low, work to have the ability to make this always an option. Be able to come up and pull and shoot the ball. I'm going to get downhill off of the threat of shooting. So when I go to this rise up, when I shoot, before I extend my arms or rise up, my feet get ready to shoot in one manner or another, and my hands come to the ball. So I'm going to try to simulate both of those with a foot action that is sharp at the mesh point, and then a hand shadow where I'm going to bring the ball to my hands like I'm going to pick it up to shoot it. But instead of doing that, I'm then going to drop the ball to get downhill. Working on your drops, they can be pushes. I go to shoot, push. I go to shoot, drop cross. I go to shoot, through. But I'm going to try to trigger and work on shooting, and then at the last second, basically checking our swing on the shot and then pushing the ball down. Essentially, we're trying to do two different things to get by this defender. Shift them or lift them. If you can get them to jump or raise out of their defensive stance, that gives you the opportunity to get downhill and make a play. On these shot Hesis, try to be complete with each movement. I'm going to be thorough with my foot gather. I'm going to try to be complete and get my hand towards the shadow of the ball. And then I'm going to try to tuck it, push the ball down and get to the rack. Jumper. When you come to a stop to shoot, almost every situation on these dribble approaches included, I'm going 1-2, or I'm going off of a hop off of a dribble release. So I'm going to work on both shot approaches into my Hesi. Bring it up. Essentially, it's like a pump fake, but I can pump fake after I dribble, but I can't dribble again. So I'm going to try to simulate a shot without actually bringing the ball to my shooting pocket and having it in two hands. If it's not an immediate push down, you can snatch the ball back. So I look like I'm about to shoot, they lift, I go here, you can break them down from that point. Triggering our feet So when I go, let's say I'm coming to a 2-foot stop on a jumper. In order for me to push out in this moment, I'm gonna make sure that my feet are active. 2-foot stop, punch. I'm gonna try to throw that ball away from the point. Hand shadow is important. Here we go. And make sure to click the link below for the free full workout that includes these 5 moves along with 3 bonus drills to make you a better basketball player. Stay in the gym, keep working. Thanks for joining me.